Blended families tend to struggle a lot. When you're married, you create a culture with that person. Your kids grow up in that culture. Then you're marrying somebody else who has an entirely different culture. You put them together and trying to make that successfully blend.
They say love is sweeter the second time around, but the numbers say otherwise. First marriages, 50% divorce rate. Second marriages, 60%. Third marriages, nearly 70%. Why? Because when we try to blend families, guilt, loyalty battles, and culture wars explode behind closed doors.
When you're marrying somebody with kids, you have to be very intentional. I'm not just marrying mom or dad. I'm marrying all. And I'm going to do everything I can to be successful for all of them.
Welcome to the brutal reality of remarriage and blended families. Why do most fail? Why do kids rebel? And why is the divorce rate higher every single time you say, "I do," again?
A lot of men go from mom to spouse, and they expect spouse to just do what mom did. They don't accept being a man and actually leading their family.
Today, we're exposing the cold, hard truth about the most dangerous merger of all, family.
Welcome back to the Jason Magar Podcast. So far, we have covered every chapter of the book. Today, we're going to go over the end, which is mergers and acquisitions. And it's marriage, remarriage, and co-parenting, blended families, doing the harder parts once you try to merge two families together. Previously, we have covered becoming the right person, getting the qualifications you need for the job you want, the interview process, having your non-negotiables, and interviewing candidates. Do you have everything I need in a spouse? Then it is the pre-marriage leading up to it, getting the business plan, getting everything outlined, getting ready for the grand opening. Marriage is the grand opening. The day your wedding day is grand opening. You're open for business. Your family Inc. is now in operations. Then it's day-to-day operations, conflict and crisis management. When we get in trouble, what do we do? And then how to blend and merge families together. I'm very excited to get this material out to you guys. I can't wait to see how it revolutionizes marriages and gives you a structure to be able to follow things that are important to driving you in an operating system that brings your marriage to a successful place and achieves the goal of growing old together.
We're talking about acquisitions and mergers, which is blended families and remarriage. What comes to mind, top of mind, right out of your brain, the way it is about blended families specifically?
Blended families tend to struggle a lot because when you're married, you create a culture with that person. Your kids grow up in that culture. Then you're marrying somebody else who has an entirely different culture. You put them together, and trying to make that successfully blend doesn't just happen. I know a lot of times when we bought other companies and tried to integrate them, we would lose a lot of the good people because it wasn't an easy transition to just come in, and us being a huge company, we'd buy these smaller companies and they were used to just operating in their culture, which was a small business culture. You could make decisions quick. You could do things easily. But we would come in and put our structure in, and it would really make it difficult for those people to come together and work as one team. So it's the same when you get remarried. You're now blending a family and you have co-parenting issues. The kids go back and forth. It's depending on your schedule, what the pickup rate is, how often you have the kids. A lot of the times mom will feel mom guilt because I'm not with my kids full time. People often parent from guilt and they feel bad that they got divorced, so they will stop parenting the way they would had they stayed in a marriage because they feel guilty that they broke up the home. So there's a lot of dynamics going on. And the parent oftentimes will get remarried quickly and they've done nothing to heal themselves from the divorce. When a relationship ends, you have to grieve it the same as you would the loss of a family member. A relationship ends, there is a grieving process. You have to go through it. You have to feel it. You have to deal with it. You have to do that post-mortem analysis of why didn't it work? What do I need to work on so that when I'm in a marriage again, I can be better. In the book, go back to chapter 1. Do the work to find the right person, heal up the hurts, get yourself ready, and then when you're doing step parent parenting, um, I always tell people the biological does the parenting, the step parent stands behind the biological parent. I will have people make house rules so that the married parent now, the step parent, can enforce the house rules versus enforcing my rules on the kids. Because the kids will push back, "You're not my dad, you're not my mom. Why are you parenting me?" And if you have a meeting and I tell them to do the family meeting, you sit down with all the kids. Parents obviously go go through it before, give the kids some easy negotiated out ones like bedtime 6:30, and then the kids are like, that's ridiculous. Okay, we'll give you 8:30. And kids feel like they won and you're getting what you want anyways. And then get everybody to buy in and then sign off. These are the house rules. Now, when an infraction occurs against the house rules, you can just say, hey, these are the house rules. You know, these rules, we went over them. And then it's not, you're not my mom, you're not my dad. This is our house rules that we've all agreed upon. So there's a lot of dynamics in blending the cultures and trying to get kids who feel guilty if they like the step parent, because then they feel like they're with mom and her new husband. Well, they feel guilty if they like stepdad because they feel like they need to be loyal to their biological parent. And so there's just so many dynamics going on in there that makes it difficult for step parenting to work. Remarriage has a higher divorce rate than first marriage. And if you're on your third marriage, it's even higher. So national average, 50% divorce rate. Second marriage, 60% divorce rate. And third marriage, 70% divorce rate. And I'll get couples who they'll come in and the guy's like, yeah, this will be my fifth marriage. And I'm like, awesome. What has changed in you to make you ready now to be a good husband? You're the only constant in all of your relationships. So you can't say every single one of my ex-wives was crazy, which they like to try to say. But that's not where you need to focus. You need to focus on, what do I need to do to be different to actually make the marriage work?
What comes to mind when, let's just say, I'm the step parent? What would you tell me to do to support the biological parent? What does that look like besides standing behind? Like, what's the deeper like knowledge there?
It's really just asking them, what do you need from me to make it easier for you to parent?
And I'm sure that's hard for a lot of women to have to step into a masculine role. In some instances, is it not, or is that a thing?
It's the stepdad saying there can be a alpha male figure to look up to, because boys need from their dads, am I man enough? And if that child is not necessarily getting it from his biological dad, and he likes to test himself, am I man enough? And the stepdad is comfortable enough in relationship with them that the kid can validate themselves against them, then that's a healthy role. But the wife doesn't have to be mom and dad. They do in certain ways, but the stepdad can still be a positive male role model. Same thing for girls. The dad can be that positive male and give them certain things to help assist. If a child has two positive male role models, the bio dad and the stepdad, that's a great benefit, because now you're getting even more input, even more validation, even more love. So it can be helpful to them. But a lot of times the ego and pride kicks in, and the parent will try to enmesh their children against the step parent because they feel bad because now my kids like the stepdad better than they like me. And it's just this constant turmoil. If there is a divorce and parents co-parent in a way that is healthy and there's not conflict, those kids are very close to kids who are in a happy marriage or a stable marriage. So it's not as huge an impact. And somebody said one time, they said they asked their clients, do you both of you want to be at your kids' weddings? And then, so he said, for make that happen, you have to learn how to get along.
You're talking about the biological parents.
Yeah. When they get divorced and you're doing co-parenting and kind of talking through with co-parenting, do you both want to be at their wedding? And I thought that was a really cool approach because everybody, oh, yeah, of course we do. And then what are you going to do so that you guys get along, so that you can be civil or even nice to each other at your kids' wedding?
That's deep. That makes anybody zoom out.
And if you didn't do conflict well in marriage, if you don't change anything, you're not going to do it well in co-parenting.
Yeah, it'll be just as hard.
Mm-hmm.
There's more I want to dig into on the blended families. What would you say to a step parent that has really good intentions and is eager to step into their step kid's life, but they're not confident that they even want to receive that from them? What advice would you give them to help them have that self-control to, even though you have good intentions, you might have good advice, if it's not received, it does more damage than it does good because it's forced. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and I tell, there was a commercial for a jeweler a while back, and the guy went to the daughter and said, I choose you too. Because when you're marrying somebody, you're choosing the spouse and their children. And kids often feel like they're a burden or an impediment to a new relationship. And if you're marrying a mom of 3 kids, you need to let those kids know, I'm not just choosing mom, I'm choosing each of you. And really treat them in a way that makes them feel valued, cherished, honored, part of something that you're creating, not just, I'm marrying your mom and, oh, by the way, you come along with them and I'm really not going to pay any attention to you. And my old neighbor got married and she had 5 kids at the time, and he married in, and he started dating each of the kids. So once a week, he'd pick the kid and he'd go out and he would just spend time intentionally with them.
Monday through Friday, 5 kids.
No, he'd do it once a week because he owned his own business, so he was busy. But each week, each kid got their time. And he said every single one of them looked forward to it. And it's just so cool. And I saw him the other day. He was looking at something, and I told him that lives on. And I mean, he told me that like 15, 16 years ago. But when you date your kid, let them choose what you do. Of course, with dollar limits. You can't fly to Tahiti on a private jet for your date time, but what do you want to do? And then just go get to know those kids, develop a relationship with them that's specific to them. Each child has their own disc personality. They are introverts, extroverts. They have their own love language. Really just kind of learn how to love that child the way they need to be loved. And if you can do that and effectively be a positive role model, male or female, you're going to give those kids something great and help them heal from that divorce. And probably if you do it really well and the divorced parents actually get along and co-parent well, those kids will do well. They'll thrive. And that, I think, when you're marrying somebody with kids, you have to be very intentional. I'm not just marrying mom or dad. I'm marrying all. And I'm going to do everything I can to be successful for all of them, not just for me and mom.
And you hear about those kids in school. So-and-so's parent, I remember in middle school, remarried. The stepdad is the coolest dude ever. Literally, one of my best friend's stepdad took us and did all kinds of fun stuff. Like, probably things that we shouldn't even have done. But, like, he trusted us, and he just gave us that opportunity. And, like, I immediately thought of him, and he changed his energy brought everybody else up with it. And that's a cool way to view it and a way to go about that. I think though there also is, I remember stories of where the step parent like forces that interaction and it's disingenuine. They don't I think that the key factor I'm thinking through is that the step parents that didn't have as give any good feelings to the kids that I was friends with, they would take them along and drag them into things that the step parent wanted to do. They didn't make it about the kid, like you said, but the ones that were good always made it about the kid. Yeah, that's a very clear, distinct. That even takes me back in time.
That is funny because the kids have to, and in business, I always told my employees respect is earned, not given. And it's the same thing when you marry into there. Don't expect the kids to be like, oh my God, cool, I got a new step parent. No, they're like, I want mom and dad back together. I want what I know to be in place. And kids often will resent you because they think you're the reason the divorce happened. And so going in and being like, you're going to respect me just because I'm here, that's not a good attitude. I'm going to go in and earn a relationship with these kids.
What would you say to a teenager that's maybe got a step parent that they don't know how they feel about them? Like, what would you tell them?
It's your choice. You can be miserable and just kind of resent them and hate them, or you can see, how can I get and benefit from this person? They have skill set that you may not even know about. They may love golf and you've never golfed in your life. And they're like, can I go to the driving range with you? I'm going to learn something from them. Relationship is just learning, being, growing, and changing for the better. And having a third parent is another way to get more than in just a two-parent home. So it's your choice whether you interact or not. But why not, since they're there, find something that you can enjoy with them?
What if the parent isn't reciprocating at all? Is it okay to just distance yourself from them? Like,
Unfortunately, that's a lot of the times the step parent tells, sometimes blatantly, flat out tells them, I don't want you. I can't stand that you're around. Why don't you go live with your dad? Your mom doesn't want you here. And that is so damaging because you have a child whose parents just both divorced, shattered the universe that they knew and everything that they knew. And now you have somebody coming in and saying, you're not even wanted. And so there's a lot of bad step parents out there that are just damaging the kids because they don't care about them. It's not my kid. I don't care what happens to him. And that's not the mentality. If you're going to marry somebody with kids, marry them and the kids.
specifically getting married again, whether it's the second, third, fourth, fifth time, you even said, what comes to mind from all your experience counseling, what you've seen, and where does your mind go in terms of the mindset behind getting married again?
I think it needs to be intentional after you've done work to make yourself better, to have a better chance of success. A lot of people rebound marry because they just don't want to be alone. And they'll take the person that comes along. They have no checklist. They have no requirements. Their requirement is, I don't want to be alone. That's not a good reason to get married. I had somebody that told them, like, get a dog if you're lonely. And you can be lonely, but until you're okay being by yourself, you're not going to be okay in a relationship. Because if you need somebody else to make you complete, make you whole, make you fulfilled, you're not in a good spot to get married. So after the divorce, really sit there and go, why did we end in divorce? And don't look at what your spouse did, look at what you did. because that's the only thing you have control over and you can change. And so really just internally go, how can I do better in the next marriage?
What about somebody who doesn't know how it even went south? What's the first thing that they should do? They just freshly divorced and they're like, I don't even know what happened.
Probably get into counseling and have the counselor help you figure out where it went south. Because if you can't identify, how was your communication? And the greatest myth of communication is that it has occurred. I watch miscommunications all the time in my office. And I love when it happens because I'm like, look, that's a miscommunication. You guys are talking past each other. And really understand, how did I communicate? Did I communicate the way that benefited my spouse? Or did I tell them did I talk at them or did I talk to them? How do we do conflict? And if you didn't resolve conflict, why not? Am I conflict avoidant? And really understand and go, I probably need to get comfortable with conflict. People who are conflict avoidant, I tell them to complain or send back food in a restaurant because they won't even send back food because they're conflict avoidant. They'll eat something that they didn't order just because they want to avoid the conflict. Like, go have healthy conflicts. Go talk to people about taboo things, religion, politics, something that, and just have a discussion and see how you can do conflict in a way that doesn't end in a fight, but it just ends in you being able to understand through that. So really just digging in and going, what was my part to the breakdown in our marriage? Was I present when I was home? Emotionally, physically, mentally? Did I do my whole marriage on my phone? It was funny. I heard some screen time statistics, and Arizona has the highest screen time usage of any state, 8.57 hours a day of screen time.
Did they say why Arizona specifically?
No. It was on a sports talk, and it was like, it's kind of a weird place for it to come up, so they weren't talking about the science behind it, but 8.57 hours. That's almost 9 hours a day. People are on their phone, actively on their phone. Was I at home? Did I spend those 9 hours that I am at home? Nothing but on my phone. Oh, but I was doing research. About what? Relationships.
Every day for 9 hours?
Cool. I studied relationships for 9 hours a day, but I never talked to my spouse. So really just understanding and analyzing. Ask your friends. Wanted to take a quick break from the episode. Hope you're enjoying it. I would love to help revolutionize your relationship. I will be releasing The Business of Relationships, and you can get your copy on pre-order if you want to click below. Give me your information. I will alert you as soon as the book is ready. I'm working really hard to compile my 18 years of experience of studying relationships and my 30 years of business experience to help get this together in a way that makes sense, that you can build your relationship, prepare yourself for a relationship, interview the candidates for your marriage, and then successfully run a business household that allows your relationship to succeed in a way that it never would without this framework. Hope you're enjoying. Hey, what don't I do well? In our relationship, what don't I do well? And start to understand from the people who love you and say, tell me the truth. I want to improve. And the other hard thing with remarriage is when you're married, that fold starts to develop in your brain. So 11 to 13 years for a new fold to develop that accepts that you're one. When you get divorced, your brain has to undo that fold to start creating a new fold. So it takes even longer in remarriage for that fold to develop because it has to do deconstruction and then reconstruction.
How many years to create it the first time?
11 to 13.
To feel like one person?
Mm-hmm. For your brain to develop a fold that accepts that you're married as a unit.
Is that including time dating? Does that matter? Doesn't. I'm assuming it's just like together.
I don't know if it includes the dating time. I didn't check that, but probably.
That just trips me up that I didn't know that it was that long.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why 7 years, a lot of people get divorced at the 7-year time frame. So they're like, I married the wrong person. And when I do the premarital class, I'm like, when you get to 7 years and you feel like you married the wrong person, wait for 4 to 6 more years because you haven't developed that fold. You didn't marry the wrong person. Your brain just hasn't fully accepted that we're one unit.
You were going somewhere before, right before that. I think practical things to think through if you were fresh out of divorce or, being single again and questioning. You did communication, conflict. What are the other popular topics that are the cause of, things falling apart? Finances, questioning, asking how you had it set up, maybe how you guys operated. Was it the right thing? Asking a counselor about that.
Personal habits. What do you do that may be an annoyance in relationship if you never put your dirty clothes in the dirty clothes basket or whatever the designated dirty clothes spot is? And it's all the little things that wear down over time. And if you're conflict avoidant, you don't say, it really bothers me when you leave your clothes on the floor. I'd really appreciate it if you made more effort to put them in there. And I don't know how many couples I get when the wife says, I feel like I have another child and it's my husband. That's not the wife's role to be your mom. And a lot of men go from mom to spouse and they expect spouse to just do what mom did. They don't accept being a man and actually leading their family. Well, mom makes my lunch. Well, mom does. It's cool if your wife makes your lunch, but what are you doing for your wife? How are you not just another child where they have to supervise you, watch over you, do all those things?
Constantly look out for you. You guys are adults now.
Remind you to pay the bills. Did you pay the bill? Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, I got to do it. They don't even trust that you're going to pay the bill on time. Now they're constantly concerned about every aspect of the house. Where do they get relief? So what did you do in marriage that may have made your spouse feel like they had another child? And if you're on civil terms, even ask your ex, what really bothered you the most in our marriage? And you just got to be honest with yourself and not just try to blame the other person. When you're divorced, you're hurt, you're mad, you're upset. And the natural tendency is to hurt somebody when you're hurting and lashing out and just bashing your ex. That's unproductive. There's nothing that you can work on in your ex. The only thing you can change is within yourself. And so focus on what you can control, not what you have no control over. And really just go, am I ready to be married again? And if the answer is yes, then ask the why question. Why? What's different now? What have I done that will make me more successful in this relationship? Because second marriages have a higher divorce rate. They know that divorce is an option and they already know they can use it. First timers, divorce is really scary. Never been through it. Don't know what to expect. Divorce sucks. I've never seen a good, happy civil divorce. I've had clients say, oh, this was going to be an easy divorce. I'm like, okay. No, it's not, but okay. And it always gets ugly at some point. Why? What do you mean I got to break my 401k and give you half of that? Why are you entitled to that? 50-50 state we live in. You get half of whatever. So, and money always is the topic of hard. And how did I do finances? Did I have a budget? Did I manage money well? If not, are you going to start doing that while you're single? Oh no, I'll start doing it when I get married. No, you won't. If you're not doing it now, you're not going to do it when you get married. Well, I'm not good at a budget. Get good at it. Don't use excuses. Those who want to do something find a way. Those who don't find an excuse. And that's a quote from somebody famous. I don't know who it is, but I love it. So really just digging in and slowing down and going, What do I do better? And then ask the person, if they're divorced, ask them what they've done different. Why are you now ready to be remarried?
The interview process all over again, but focus on those questions. What are you doing different?
And have a deep conversation. If they're like, oh, nothing, my husband was all the problem, I never did anything wrong. Red flag, run. Go in counseling together, do premarital together.
And it's also an opportunity to, I think, nobody wants to get married twice, probably, I would assume. Nobody planned for that. But I think if you focus on the right things, you might meet someone else that has turned a new leaf. You both are now new versions of yourself, and you might live more life in your second marriage in way less time than, the prior 20, 30 years even. I'm sure you've met people. We've heard of people that are like that. Like, I've lived more life in the last 5 years I've been with this person, because you both grew and you bonded over that growth, and it started from that healthy place of that new foundation that you're speaking to.
And a lot of people will have emotional affairs and they don't classify it as an affair. Pornography is an affair. If you're looking at porn, you're lusting for somebody other than your spouse. That's an affair. If you're flirting with girls at work, it's innocent. It was funny, I was doing a premarital couple yesterday, and they asked for some additional resources, and I was looking at books, and I was in 1,001 questions to ask before you get married. And one of them said, is innocent flirting okay? And I said, that's a cool question. You guys want to answer it? And he goes, well, I'm okay if she flirts to get a free beer when they're at a bar. And she's like, I don't know that I'm okay doing that. So it was just a cool question. And it's like, get a book. 1,001 questions asked before you get married. 1,001 questions about me. 1,001, whatever. There's tons of resources out there. And go through them and just start asking the questions and have the hard conversations. And if they don't check the box, awesome. Nothing wrong with you. You're just not the one for me. And be selective. Well, I'm divorced. Nobody will want me. Yes, they will. Don't give yourself those negative messages. If you're in Maricopa County in Arizona, 70% of people have already been divorced. So yeah, you'll find somebody that probably is out there looking as well. You got a lot of acquisition candidates. So really just don't think because I'm divorced, nobody will want me. Make yourself into the right person. You'll attract the right person. Now you'll have the second marriage. And then follow the operating system from this book and see if you can do marriage differently.
Anything else before we dive into the review?
We should just summarize.
Okay. We're at the end of the material that's focused from the business of relationships. Business of relationship. What is the ideal system, and how does it flow and work together that someone's going to take away from this material in this book? How is it going to change their life, and how is it going to change their relationship?
It's not the magic bean that's going to make everything better. You can read the book and do nothing, and nothing changes. And I tell people in counseling, you both have to do the work. And so getting with your partner and just having a format that you can follow that will help you. Following a format that runs a successful business is the same format for what can run a successful relationship. So putting the operating systems in place, putting in agreements, putting in the reviews, putting in the communication plans, putting in the regular meetings, and following through with it. That will give you an opportunity to actually have connection points, communication points, talking about the things that most couples never talk about. When I do premarital, the goal is to get people talking. That's the entire goal. And most premarital couples we've ever done, we said, what did you get out of it? And they said, we talked about everything. I'm like, awesome, did our job. That's what this book will get you doing and keep you doing throughout the relationship, is communicating and having feedback loops and doing what works in business and just taking it and modifying it and applying it and say, do this in your marriage. It'll give you something you can follow. You can modify it. You can change things. This is not a thou shalt or it doesn't work. It's take this, and if you like to do this a little bit differently, change it. Send me some feedback on it. I might use it. I might change it on my own. I love continuous improvement. And this is something that you can take, do, and you will see the differences.
Something that came to mind earlier that kind of backs up a little bit is when you said the biggest takeaway is just communicating. There's a lot of vision that's based off of feeling in business of where you want to go, what it feels like, what the branding is, but the moves that really scale the business are usually based off data. And I think the data in the business of relationship is those conversations, is the 1,001 questions, is the structured conversations around money, conflict, all those things. And the a lot of I feel like it's just normal in culture to just, oh, I feel like going to dinner tonight. I feel like talking about this. I feel like this. It's just nonstop. You just reacting and just doing what you feel like. Well, nobody feels like sitting down and asking 1,001 questions. You have to think of the idea, get the books. There's so much intention. As simple as that task is, there's a lot of intention behind it compared to your normal state of mind that someone operates in. So I feel like if you just look at it as, I need data to run my business to scale it, the data is forcing those healthy and, can be fun conversations. And when someone starts talking too much, you don't like what they're saying, you really quickly are turned off. And that's the thing that will guide you away, I feel like, from being in a situation you shouldn't be in.
Yeah, and it's funny because you have to be intentional to run a successful business. You have to be intentional to have a successful relationship.
You have to be excited to do the things that are uncomfortable, you don't want to do. And I feel like I just heard this quote or this yesterday. This concept is that you waste more energy resisting doing the thing you need to do, because the hard stuff and the deep work is actually what's going to give you the energy once you start it. But you waste all your energy resisting doing what resisting doing what you need to do. And if you just take that first step and get in, you have that first question that leads to a conversation that they reciprocate, they open up. Next thing you know, you just start flowing. You're like, dang, I know this person a lot better, or I feel a lot more confident, or I feel a lot less confident. Okay, I know I need to get out. Oh, good thing I didn't get married to them, or good thing I didn't go on another date, or maybe we should rethink things, or maybe we should restructure a part of our relationship and start heading down a different direction.
Yeah. And it's goal setting. Most relationships don't set goals. We're married. Awesome. What's your goal? I don't know. Just to be married? That's not a goal. That's that's an act. You have your wedding, you're married. There's really nothing else you need to do to say you're married. But setting a goal and both pulling the cart in the same direction. And then anything that comes along that goes against your goal, reevaluating together, do we want to go in this way? And it gets you in lockstep and keeps you in lockstep. In business, you don't have half your team going after one goal and half your team going after another. You're not going to achieve the goal in a large corporation if you're not all driving towards it. Every year, they give us our goals. Why? Because we take the CEO's goals, break them down, break them down, break them down, break them down. What is your contribution to the overall goal? And if you have kids and you want to start saving money, have that conversation with the kids at the family meeting, have that staff meeting. Guys, we're focused on saving money. Here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to do Starbucks every day. We're not going to do McDonald's for every dinner. We're going to start cooking. Oh, that sucks. I like McDonald's. That's okay. We can have it one day a week. But getting everybody involved, our goal is to go to Disney World. Kids are going to be on board going, oh, if I give up some McDonald's, I get to go to Disney World? All right, I'm in. How do I help? So it's really just getting the whole company aligned towards driving towards something and not just existing.
You ever heard that? Start at the end? Yeah. So it's like that. Like sometimes even kids and adults need that. A business is always starting at the end. What is that conversion, or what is that goal, or what is that size? And that's the driver, like you're speaking to.
And if the ends grow old together, how do you get there?
Yeah, what does that look like?
Break it down. Have your long range goal. Have your 5-10 year goal. Have your 1 year goal. And one of the leadership conferences I went to, it said he would set sprints. He would pick one thing and he'd work on it really hard for 6 weeks, take a week or two off, pick one thing, work on it really hard for 6 weeks. So you can even break down smaller individual goals or a couple goals and say, for 6 weeks, we're going to focus on this. And then take a break, reset, enjoy, celebrate that. Celebrate all the victories. I mean, in offices, they have team parties for, oh, we all reached our sales goal this week. You get pizza. People get motivated. It's pizza. You can go to Little Caesars and buy a $5 hot and ready. Celebrate. Because if you're not celebrating those small victories, life just becomes boring, mundane, stale. I just do the same thing every day. No, cool, we got a goal. Our company, Magar Inc., we're headed here. And Angel and I are always setting goals where we're headed. And then both of us are always pulling in the same direction. And if we want to change it, okay, we stop and talk. Why do we want to change it? Why is where we want to go now better than where we're headed? And if it's not, can we make that next year's goal? Sure, let's put that down. We get to the next anniversary. We don't really want to do that. Here's our new goal. Let's go towards that. So this will help you just set up the framework to do business of relationship. Relationship run intentionally with tried and true methods that are successful in business, just modified to do it in marriage like this.